I lost everything. I gave my life to Christ. Why is everything giving up on me too? I didn't know how much of a baggage I was carrying around until I met Jesus. No matter how you feel you have your whole life figured out, you never know more than your manufacturer. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thank you for stopping by. Please stick and stay with me as I share a quick story on how God changed my plans to ease, and I believe you will be blessed by my story. So let's get right into it. It all began in the year 2016 after I graduated senior high school. I did I did so many job hunting, yet nothing. So I finally decided I was going to set up my own business because I did business at school. So I felt like, okay, then this would be my field. Why not just get right into it? So yeah, I went from designing clothes to selling bags, perfumes, shoes, sandals, and all these were individual businesses on their own. So I went from selling bags to then selling shoes to then selling sandals, then jewelries, hair extension, wig making, to finally food vending. None of the businesses I mentioned worked. Like nothing was working for me. Strangely enough, during that season where I was trying so hard to find the line of business I fit in or best suits me or my capacity, there was this one question that kept popping up in my mind, which was, what is my purpose? Like, why was I created? What was the essence of me being on this earth? Looking back now, I know it was the Holy Spirit dropping in, trying to make me understand there is a greater purpose to my being. I'm not saying that if you are venturing into a business, any of the businesses I mentioned, that means you do not have a higher calling or you do not have a greater purpose. I'm just saying, for me, it wasn't just it, because it didn't work. I tried so hard and none of it worked. And I believe we all have reasons why we were placed on this earth. Some were meant to do business, some were just meant to go into ministry and all other stuff, doctors and all that. We all have a reason for being created. So yeah, anything on this earth or any purpose on this earth, so far as it's for the benefit of others, it's important. Okay, so that's just that. By the way, I wanted to chip that in real quick so no one will misunderstand me. Okay. I also believe at that time it was the Holy Spirit dropping in, trying to make certain things come to my attention, but I was so busy trying to make ends meet that I couldn't really perceive what he was trying to say to me. Years passed by, I was still trying to find my place, yet nothing was working. So I started doing business from 2016 to 2021, yet nothing was working. I will start this business, then midway, then it will collapse. I'll start another one, it will collapse. I'll start another one, it will collapse. Some I wasn't getting purchases, no one was buying anything from me. I felt so unfavored at that time, but God knows best. After so many years of going around in circles, I finally became born again in 2021. That is when I came to the realization why none of the businesses I did back then worked. After investing so much money, so much effort, so much time, the stress alone, like the first instruction I received from God after dedicating my life to Him was to end all my businesses. And at that time I was into air business, and then I think we kept making, so I was selling air bundles and also making wig caps. Yeah, so which was not even working. I would get just one purchases. God just told me to stop. God didn't really speak to me vividly like patience, I want you to stop doing this business. No. But I am someone who I have a very open spirit, can easily sense things. I could easily sense that this was something God was trying to say to me, like to just end my business. And truly, when I stopped, I felt some form of peace I haven't felt in years, like years of doing those businesses and all that. I felt so much peace. And that to me was a confirmation that God really wanted me to stop. I've seen and heard stories of people who gave their life to Christ and then they gave up everything else. And back then I used to wonder, why would you have something good going for you. Yeah, you can give your life to Christ and still do your business or still be in that career and all that. I never really came in terms with the reason why people will give their lives to Christ and then they will give up on every other thing. So it happened to me. I lost everything after giving myself to Christ. I lost my business, my friends, my social life, lost everything. It's really hard to be a child of God. It's really hard to be born again. Like, it was a hard pill for me to swallow because everything was just moving. Everything was just going, and I was wondering why. Like, why? I just gave my life to Christ. Why is everything giving up on me too? But God knows best. So many thoughts was running through my mind, and at this point I am thinking of how I'm going to survive without the business, though it wasn't really moving that well. And also doing the business was some form of an escape for me because I was going through a lot at that time. Maybe I'll get into that part maybe later in some other video. I'll get deeper into it. While I was passing through a lot, I was facing depression, grief, a whole lot. It was just helping me to take my mind off everything I was going through. So I deleted everything and then dedicated my time to God, building a one-on-one relationship with Him. During this period, I was still asking God what my purpose was, but I wasn't really getting any answers from Him. Instead, it took me on a consecration journey. I didn't know how much of a baggage I was carrying around until I met Jesus. It was appalling. Slowly but sure, everything kept shedding off to the point that I couldn't even recognize myself again. Like, I became a new person, a changed person. The way I think, the way I talk, the way I do my things, the way I dress, everything about me changed. It was the most painful process I had to go through. It was very difficult. It was challenging because for so long I thought all these things I was doing was right. But here is the case: I have met Christ and He's telling me, no, I love you the way you are, but you cannot bring this into my kingdom. You cannot carry this to where I want to take you. I saw different shades of myself I never knew existed. And I spent my time each day trying to please God, trying to have a fellowship with Him. And I realized the more I dedicated my time to being with Him, the more I became like Him, the more I started thinking like Jesus. And it was truly a beautiful process, yet painful, difficult, and very challenging. This is because when Jesus is welcomed into a home, He looks for the 40 places in the house and then make sure He faces it. And sometimes we are so damaged to the point that we are beyond fixing. In order for God to fix us, He needs to break us so that He can rebuild us. So that is what happened to me. He broke me into pieces and then rebuilt me, gave me a whole new personality and whole new identity. He renewed my mind and everything. That's why I said it was a beautiful process, yet painful, because we go getting used to a whole lot of things So it's very hard for you to just get up one day and say, oh, no longer doing this, I'm no longer doing that. It's very hard. But that's the beauty of giving your life to Christ. He knows what to do with your life. He knows how best to fix you. He knows how best to rebuild you. Once he was done taking me through this process, I became aware of who I was and then what my purpose is. To be honest, God's plans for me isn't really my ideal plan for myself. But one thing I know for sure is God's plans are bigger, better, and mightier than mine could ever be. His plans look slow, challenging, difficult, filled with warfares and a whole lot. But I will still choose his plans over mine. Nothing in this world comes easy. So it's better to choose your poison wisely. I prefer doing life with Jesus than doing life on my own. Because I know at least with Jesus on my side, when I fall or when I fail, he will be right behind me to hold me. But imagine me doing it all by myself. That is why we get frustrated at life. That is why we get disappointed and all that, because we try so hard to do everything on our own. And he hasn't called us to do such. He hasn't called us to figure out everything on our own. He wants us to rely on him. He wants us to trust him to make the best decision for us. But most of us, we just want to feel like we have everything figured out. But no matter how much you think you have your life figured out, or no matter how you think you know everything, every part and pieces of your life, you will never know more than your manufacturer. Like, he knows the number of hair on your head. You cannot be wiser than your God, who made you, who created you. He's the only one that has been in our yesterday, our today, and our tomorrow. You cannot know more than him. And I feel like we human beings, we are so used to being in control. And that's why it's very difficult for us to hand over our life to Christ. I like to be in control. I love being in control. But where did that end me? After so many failed businesses, so many lost funds, it didn't end me anywhere. None of the businesses worked. One of my favorite verses in the Bible will be Jeremiah 29 verse 11, which talks about God having plans to prosper us and not to harm us, plans of good and not of evil. No matter how you feel you have your whole life figured out, you never know more than your manufacturer. I am a strong believer that everyone on the surface of this earth has something unique attached to their life. You might not know where you fit right now. You might not know what your purpose is right now. But I know when you diligently seek God and you put him first, you will definitely discover who you are. And you will see different shades of yourself you never knew existed. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing what God can do with us when we give our life to him, when we dedicate our life, when we dedicate our heart to him. He makes the most casual things look extraordinary. Most time, the only reason why nothing is working or moving in our life is because we haven't really had the time to sit down to inquire about ourselves from our maker, because we are busy trying to figure things on our own. Not that you are not working hard enough or smart enough or not even using the right cheat code. For some of us, it's just one instruction from God and all other doors will open. Just one instruction. Just ask you one thing. Do this one thing for me. Then every other thing will be made available to you. I thought to share this part of my story because I believe it's the guide someone needs. And also to remind someone that God will work your plans to make his plans come true. It's a hard pill to swallow, but he will really do that if he has to. He will work your plans to make his come to pass. Let's not forget about how Proverbs 19:21 state that many are the devices or many are the plans in the heart of a man, but only the plans of God prevail. Which means your plans does not stand a chance against God's plan. will always win. No matter what, no matter how hard you try, his plans will always prevail over yours. You can run all you want. You can be a bad girl, you can be a bad boy, trying to run away from him and all that. But when the time is right, when he is ready for you, best believe he will come for you. He will come with everything in him. I am a living proof of what I am saying. Left to me, I will be a business mogul, or probably a doctor, or a nurse, or maybe something different. But who am I to stand against the will of God? Who am I to fight against God's will? The last time someone tried to stand against God's will, he ended up in the belly of a whale. And where did the whale drop him off? The same place he refused to go. So no matter how hard you try, you always end up in the path that God has designed for you. You can't run away from who you are. You can't run away from what you are designed for. Left to me, I'll be a business mogul or something fancy. But sometimes God needs us to be at certain places. And so we yield to his calling. A lot of things might go wrong in our life. And it may look as if God is wicked, or God doesn't care about us and all that. But in natural sense, he really does. Because it's who he loves that he corrects. For example, whenever we do something that our parents correct us, or our parents tries to advise us or something, it shows that they love us and they do not want us to go on a certain path that may lead us to destruction. Same with God. You might be thinking that being this is what is best for you, and he is saying, no, do this. Like I said before, he's the only one that has been in our past, our present, and our future. You don't know what will happen the next minute, but God knows it all. When he's directing you or he's redirecting your paths, do not think he doesn't like you or he doesn't love you. Most times, he wants the best for you. He knows what's best for you. That's why he's redirecting your paths. Who can tell whether that job or business you are killing yourself for will be the same thing that will end your life? Who knows? Is anything, with the exception of Christ, worth dying for? I'm not saying as Christians we are meant to lazy around and all that. I'm only trying to say, before you embark on a journey or before you decide to do something, make sure you inquire first, so that you don't end up wasting years trying to sow at places where you cannot reap. In every step you take, in every decision you make sure you are talking to Jesus about it. You are asking him, is this what you want for me? Is this your plan for me? Is this what you are calling me into? So that you don't end up doing things like I did. Don't end up wasting years. It was in 2021 that I started discovering myself. So I spent almost 5 years of my life trying to find where I belonged, instead of asking God where he has placed me or where he's calling me to. Please do not make the same mistake that I made. Ask God, inquire from him, because you might not know. Like I saw all the signs back then, and I never paid attention to it, and I kept doing my own thing. I kept keeping myself busy trying to find where I fit in, but nothing. All my efforts proved futile. Nothing worked. Also, as chosen ones, we are not called to live like everyone else, because 99% of the time there are people's life and destinies attached to ours. We cannot live life based on our own knowledge. We need understanding, we need wisdom, and that can only happen when we lean on our maker, because to each destiny attached to yours, you will account for it. It's so easy as human beings to let our selfish desires take control over us. But as Christians or as children of God, we are called to live a selfless life like Christ, ready and willing to lay down our lives for the sake of others. This is all for today, and I leave you with a peace of God. I hope this helped you make the right decision. Bye.